Hi, I'm Meylan Stevenson. I'm a second year politics student. I work on political theory and public policy, so my PhD looks at John Stuart Mill's harm principle and air pollution policy, and I'm currently a policy associate with Public Policy Southampton. So I'm interested in how air pollution policy can be justified in the context of a liberal democracy. So air pollution is a serious public health issue, and to control it, we're going to have severe government intervention that's going to restrict people's freedoms. So things like London's ultra-low emission zone and the banning of all new petrol and diesel cars by 2030 are the sort of policies I'm interested in. Those policies obviously limit people's freedom of choice. So the question that I'm interested in is, how do we justify those? So one answer is from John Stuart Mill's harm principle that says the state is permitted to limit people's freedom when the intervention will prevent harm to others. So the policy implication of that is what I'm proposing is that John Stuart Mill's harm principle should serve as a test for policymakers to assess whether the policy they introduce will prevent harm. And if it doesn't prevent harm, then it's not the sort of policy that the state should be permitted to introduce. So these are the sort of policies that should control air pollution and improve our public health. But what I'm interested in is how they can be justified. So around 18 months ago, I applied for the Public Policy Associate internship. I was lucky enough to be awarded a place, and since then I've been working with Professor Matt Ryan on his Rebooting Democracy project. So that project aims to assess how democracy can be improved and how technology can improve people's engagement with democracy. We're sort of at a crisis where most people are disillusioned and apathetic with democracy, and we've seen some implications of that over the last 10 years in politics. So what this project aims to do is to assess what sort of what changes that we can make to our democracy by engaging more people with technology. Technology obviously has some downsides in terms of like fake news and things, but it also has the ability to improve the accountability of our decision makers and to engage people with higher rates of democracy, often people who wouldn't typically be involved in politics. So I've been working on that project with Matt Ryan, and since then, I've realised that a career in public policy is something that I'm really interested in. So last year, I applied for a position with the Open Innovation Team, which is this in-house consultancy for the civil service. I was lucky enough to be awarded a place there, and lucky enough for Public Policy Southampton to fund my position there. So I spent 3 months policymaking for them, which was fantastic. It was a really interesting experience to work in Whitehall. And whilst I was there, I worked on two main projects. My primary project was assessing how evidence institutes can be more effective. So evidence institutes are institutions that gather, synthesize, and attempt to improve policy. The UK's most famous one that you might have heard of is NICE. So my work there involved a policy synthesis, looking at the literature around the barriers to public policy engagement with evidence institutes and how they can be improved. We also conducted stakeholder interviews, and I was lucky enough to participate in an interview with the 2019 Nobel Prize winner for economics, Abhijit Banjari, which was really cool. It was a fantastic experience to work in Westminster and to transfer the skills that I've honed as a policy associate with Public Policy Southampton into the civil service. I was really pleasantly surprised at how well Public Policy Southampton had prepared me for working in the civil service, and it definitely confirmed that that's the sort of job I want to work in the future. I think it's really important to do the theoretical work that I do in my PhD, but I also think it's really interesting and important to try and engage with policymakers and to look at how the work that we do in academia can produce like real world benefits, particularly when like taxpayers often pay for our research. We should look at how we can implement things that will hopefully improve their lives and make useful recommendations to the government. So in terms of the benefits that I've gained from my experience in public policy is that I now feel quite prepared for a career in public policy. My background was in studying philosophy, which was a great experience and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't come out of that feeling particularly well prepared for a career. So the things that I've learned from Public Policy at Southampton through their training and their internships and my experience with the OIT is having the confidence to go on and pursue public policy. Public policy is something that often feels quite opaque and hard to understand what a career in that would look like. So I think I've been lucky enough to develop a strong confidence and the sort of soft skills and hard skills relevant to pursuing a career there. So things like how to engage with policymakers, how to do policy synthesis and stakeholder analysis and how to work within that kind of field. It's something that's really benefited me, and I'm really grateful for the opportunities that Public Policy Southampton have given me. And I'm now very keen to pursue a career in public policy, and I think after the PhD hopefully I'll be in a good position to. So my PhD is primarily theoretical, but I am interested in the policy implications of delivering air pollution policy. Public Policy Southampton has certainly made me more aware of how public policy operates and the limitations to policy and how best to deliver it. And I aim to conclude my PhD with a series of air pollution policy recommendations of the sort of policies that the state should be delivering. So my theoretical background of reading political theory hasn't really helped there, but Public Policy Southampton certainly has. I mean, the first bit of advice I would give would be to speak to Public Policy Southampton. It's an excellent resource for students and researchers. They certainly know what they're doing and they deliver fantastic training sessions, and the Policy Associate Internship is fantastic for PhD students interested in a career in public policy.